Hello and welcome to the Faces of Africa Pocket Edition, where we dissect and discuss the topics covered in our weekly documentary show, which takes you through the continent's history, cultures, and major issues through exploring great personalities. This week on Faces of Africa podcast, we're taking you to Zambia, an interesting documentary called Nyaminyami, the River God. My name is Fatia Mohamed Noor, and I'm joined today by
Thuku Karaoke.
Hi Thuku.
Hi, I'm good.
Please tell the audience what you do before we get so far.
I have been a journalist for more than 10 years now, and mostly for the last 6 or so years I've done a lot of environment work, doing documentaries on the whole issue of climate change, climate action, and also doing a lot of documentaries on different issues. So I love the word of documentaries because you get more time to tell your stories, and then you get to move with your characters as opposed to shorter versions of media.
I agree. I mean, that's what we do on Faces of Africa, right? And speaking of Faces of Africa documentaries, this particular documentary, you're producing this documentary.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experience doing it.
The Zambia documentary, the Nyaminyami River God, was a unique documentary which we produced a while ago. Basically, what was so good and unique for us when we were producing this documentary, it was like trying to document the African history. We are always accused that a lot of our history is not documented. So Nyaminyami, the River God, was a unique documentary because it was telling us who the Nyaminyami was, or who it is believed, the traditional beliefs bring about who Nyaminyami was, and how the community, the people who are the old ones, the young ones, are picking from what Nyaminyami was believed to be a provider, to be a protector, and to be something, to be a god, to be looked up to, for people to enjoy their life and to survive.
Yeah, and interestingly, you actually see it's. Well, how should I describe it? You advise me, because while watching the documentary, you can see it's a creature. Let me put it that way: a creature with like a fish head.
Yeah.
That's what people were worshipping in terms of their provider, and that Nyaminyami sometimes would get out of water and go back into water, but people never saw him. Could you just describe for the audience how Nyaminyami actually looked like according to people?
They described it as a snake-like, creature. Like a fish, a snake, it's something that they were not really able to bring, it was a definite, if it's a hippopotamus or is a snake and all that. So it had embodied 2 or 3 animals at the same time, and to them it was the biggest living creature that some of them would say that they have ever seen or they have ever witnessed. And it brings out the aspect of people believing in the traditions, people believing in where they are coming from and their traditional gods.
I want to ask you about the filmmaking process of this documentary, because the pictures are wonderful when you watch, and even the dam. How was it for you, shooting that and getting the right angles?
Yeah. One thing, as you know, when you're producing the documentaries, you have to make sure that you get as much access as possible. Because the very important thing that was there for us to film the dam is because now, with the Nyaminyami story, the dam had a history in that. Because it is claimed that the dam separated the river into 2. And then, because the people would say that there was a Nyaminyami, the god, and then the wife. So the creation of the dam separated the wife and the husband.
Yeah, and he was angry.
Yeah, the first construction was demolished. It fell apart.
Yes.
The first construction, and that's when they said that the scientists and the engineers came up with a carved wall and all that.
Yeah.
So the first thing is access. So the good thing is that at least we had planned very well to have the access to go all the way down to the dam. It's a stretch that is very torturous, by the way, going all the way.
But
down.
It looks fascinating also.
It's awesome.
Right?
When you are down there and you are looking from down there and seeing what is happening there. So the thing about the pictures, sometimes when you're filming, you'll have to make sure that you have a number of wide range cameras. When we were there, I think we had the normal on ground cameras with our fixable lenses from 1 to 2 lenses, and then the smaller cameras, like the GoPro cameras, whereby even when you twist the picture and you see the dam from down there, it becomes like something that has a very good view from down there.
Yeah.
So it was quite an engaging filmmaking process. And then when you have cameras that you can zoom close to people's emotions, when people are telling stories, sometimes you need to come close to them and show how they are doing it. And of course now making sure that you bring in a number of characters from different areas, the people by the dam side, the people who are living within, the complaints, because again people complained that the building of the dam made them be relocated to another area. So the savior, who was the Nyaminyami, the river god, now became as if when the development came, it was like people were being disturbed. So it was like, where is our god? And that is why they claimed the first time that it fell apart, because they had disturbed their god, which is it's a very interesting story.
It's interesting, and even them describing the wife, Kitapo, I believe that's her name, and you know, the separation. But they also described how she looked, mermaid-like. The description was, and that's why I'm saying this story was a unique story, because unlike sometimes when you get the characters that you're talking about and you get them, you know, in person and you talk to them and you bring them to their environment. This was a story whereby people were doing a description of something that we could not see ourselves. I don't know, maybe because someone claimed that the Nyaminyami is still there. I don't know whether we were out there enough to see the Nyaminyami. But the description was good. It gives the same things that we think about, you know, the mermaid thing that you're talking about, something with supernatural powers. You know, it always came out as something that you really would want to see and to witness. There's also another event that happens along with that story, the Komboka Festival. Yes. So very nice pictures also.
That actually that part was a
you can see them part. In the boat and they're rowing, and it's very uniform. It's very nice.
Exactly.
Right. So as we wrap up, I want to know, you know, what do you think the audience should know about this documentary that makes it unique apart from the storytelling?
It is, you know, like for me, like I told you, I'm a documentaries filmmaker for a number of years now, going to a decade actually. Wow. And one thing, and especially for, you know, people are becoming a bit knowledgeable about, especially the job that me and you are doing nowadays, that is media, and people are starting to appreciate, you know, when good things are being done. So the thing I would want people to appreciate more is how relatable things can be. How relatable things can be, because when you are away from everything else, there's a way that you relate with your environment. There's a way that you relate with your stories, and coming back to it, it will still bring the idea of how things happen in the past. And then I would just want people to enjoy the good filmmaking that came out from that documentary. You know, engaging with people, because at some point you'll forget that you're watching a documentary and now start even answering and asking some questions in between.
You go deep in it.
Exactly. And the good thing is that it takes you deep into it's not in town, it's not in Lusaka, it's not in Kabuyo or somewhere near major towns, it's down there. Actually, where the dam is. I don't know whether I told you this, where the dam is just it's just a few kilometers between the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe. So it's a pictureless place. You go there, you relate with the rural areas of that country, and you appreciate what it got to offer.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, Seko.